I want you to picture this. Think of your favorite movie. Thought of it? Okay. Imagine, think about it. How long have you liked this movie? It's probably been a while, right? Like it's not. Most of you probably your favorite movie isn't something that just came out, so you've probably liked it for a while, right? So imagine that they announced a sequel for this movie. Or if it's already a series of movies, imagine that they're coming out with a new one. Imagine the hype that is going around. Like, you're just so excited to see this, and they drop a trailer, and it looks good, like really good. And you go and you watch it, and it's good. It's good. But some people hate it. Some people love it. Most fall in the, it's okay. So then another one comes out. And it's, Finally, you get to where another one comes out. And it's the same thing. It's just it's very controversial in the fan base. And you're kind of tired. Like, oh my gosh, what is going on? Until finally, a series is announced for it. Do you get hopeful for it? Good question. That's going to be our topic today, is The Mandalorian. So, do you have a minute to talk about Din Djarin? Greetings, friends, and welcome to another exciting episode of Matt's Minutes. Today, we're going to be talking about The Mandalorian, which has got to be one of my all-time favorite shows. And I feel like I really should have done a video on this a while ago, but hey, you know what? Better late than never. So, anyway, for those of you that don't know, number one, I'm a huge Star Wars fan. Probably figured that out by the other videos on this channel. Number two, I love The Mandalorian. I love The Mandalorian so much so that I even have Mandalorian Funko Pops. And not one, but two Mandalorian Lego sets and a portable cord store. Ta-da! It's got two, but for those of you that are interested in that kind of a thing, yeah, it's got a little den on it. Isn't that cute? Anyway, yes, I'm a huge fan of The Mandalorian, and I think why it is why I'm such a big fan is because it's such a breath of fresh air for the Star Wars franchise. And I'm going to talk about some of the reasons why, and this will be a spoiler-free because I know Season 2 of The Mandalorian is still fairly new, so I want to make sure that everyone can watch this video and not be spoiled by Season 2. So, let's get into it. First off, it's just nice to have a live-action Star Wars show. Normally, the live-action has only been for the movies, and the shows have been animated. And it's kind of nice to be able to just see Star Wars in live-action. And number two, with that, the technology they used to put in The Mandalorian and to make it look realistic is amazing. I highly recommend the documentaries they put on Disney Plus if you are interested in that kind of a thing. I don't have time to get into all of it right now because there's a lot, but trust me, there's a lot of cool tech that they use to film The Mandalorian, and it really shows in the product. The second reason, keep in mind, this is coming from a lifelong Star Wars fan, is it's kind of nice to see Star Wars outside of just the Jedi. Because keep in mind, the Jedi make up a very small population of this galaxy, and the galaxy is huge and has a lot of inhabitable planets on it with a lot of different races, and not everyone knows of the Force or of Jedi, and that's going to be even more prominent in the era of the Republic. I mean, the Empire, yeah. Well, Mandalorian's in a gray area because it's technically post-Empire, so it's kind of Republic, so that's why I said that. But anyway, I digress. So, now we get to see what the rest of the galaxy is like. We get to see people carrying on with their day-to-day life. We get to see just people using blasters and other kinds of technology like that. there's not a whole lot of the Force. And I can't believe I'm saying this, but sometimes that's actually kind of nice just to get a different perspective on what actually goes on in the galaxy instead of just from the Jedi's point of view. Another reason is because The Mandalorian almost does like an MCU level crossover for Star Wars in ways that the movies really don't. One thing that I really wanted to see in the sequels was more references to the animated series. Not that I am not a Clone Wars fan. I do like Rebels, but Clone Wars really, it's not for me. I'm not saying that it's a bad show, it's just I personally have some issue with it, so therefore I don't watch it. But the sequels really didn't reference those or the other movies themselves outside of the original trilogy. So even the prequels, I felt, got a little left out. And what The Mandalorian does is it takes everything and puts it in one show. So you have characters from the animated series. There we go. From the animated series. You have characters from, or at least referenced in the prequels. You have characters from the main trilogy. And you have a bunch of new characters and so it's like, okay, they have brought plot points together as well from the movies and the shows. I don't know why it took Disney so long to do this. I mean, Star Wars is huge, and each entry kind of felt like its own separate thing, but now The Mandalorian is finally tying all these together, and it's just glorious to see Star Wars being united. Not only that, but The Mandalorian adds its own unique story and lore to the Star Wars universe that doesn't contradict anything. And I think that's because they have some of the best writers for Star Wars on The Mandalorian that really pay attention to details. Like I remember I believe it was the first episode of season 2. This isn't spoilers, or not really. I mean, I guess it kind of is, but not really. It shows the Sand People on Tatooine, and they are walking in a straight line. Do you know why? That's a reference to episode 4, where Obi-Wan said, Sand People walk in a straight line in order to hide their numbers. That little one line made it into The Mandalorian. That is huge for Star Wars fans like us, or like me, because what it shows is that they care about the details and they want these to make an appearance in The Mandalorian, because then it actually shows, like I said, Star Wars is being united, and in a really, really cool way with The Mandalorian. And last but not least, we get the characters that are in The Mandalorian. So the main Mandalorian, Din Djarin, is amazing. What Pedro Pascal does and what the other stunt actors do by having him have a helmet on pretty much the entire time, and he still shows as much expression as he does without actually using his face but with his body, like, that's really cool. And one thing that I noticed in one of the final episodes is when Din took his helmet off, when he was looking around, he turned his head, not his eyes. Because think about it, if you look this way while wearing a helmet, you're only going to be able to see right here in the helmet. You're not going to be able to actually see outside. So in order to do that, he has to turn his head. Those kinds of things make The Mandalorian so personable. We also got the child. I mean, right out of the gate, we got the child, who just blew my mind that, oh my gosh, we have another one like Yoda. That's amazing. Because other than Yaddle, we really haven't seen that many of Yoda's race in Star Wars canon currently. So that was cool. And even down to the droid, the assassin droid, I don't remember its model. I want to see IG-88, but I believe that's the one from the original trilogy. But regardless, he was amazing. I loved his character in season 1, and I just thought it was great. And I mean, it's just good. It's just a good show. I could make an entire 20-minute episode about how great The Mandalorian is, so I'll try and keep this a little bit on the shorter side and try and come to a close here. But I did want to say also, The Mandalorian is a truly emotional show for me, because as being a longtime Star Wars fan. So there have been times where I've gotten emotional watching this show, and I don't just mean I'm not sad, but it's like, oh my gosh, they brought X, Y, and Z into the show. That is so cool. Like, I'm cheering. I'm like, you know, there was one in particular that had me in tears. And if you've seen the show, you know what I'm talking about. If you haven't, well, go watch the show and you'll figure it out really quickly. But it's really, really good at what it does. And the fact that we have a united Star Wars finally is just, it's a breath of fresh air. It really is. So these are the reasons why I love The Mandalorian and why it is currently my second favorite TV show behind Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. Though honestly not by much, since Mando's still going, it might be able to take its place. We'll just have to see when the next season comes out. So anyway, thank you guys so much for tuning in today. If you like this video, please give it a like. Leave a comment down below about what you thought. Do you like The Mandalorian? Have you seen it? What are your favorite highlights from The Mandalorian? And, you know, let's just get a discussion going about it, because this show is so easy to talk about. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel to stay up to date on all the latest content. Got an idea for a minute? Please leave it in the comment section down below as well. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and this is the way.